Okay, call for order, September 5th, 2023 at 6 PM. I call for order. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Aliaga.
Here.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Brown.
Here.
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu.
Here.
Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
And Trustee Stoyan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve our agenda as presented. I need a motion to approve our,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Board of Public Announcements. Board members or individuals in the audience may make a statement containing information about raising an upcoming event. I have a few. I want to review just announcements. I want to take a moment to remember former trustee Dan Travis, who passed away on August 17 at the age of 82. Mr. Travis was a trustee for our township for 25 years until November 2008. He was also a member of the Oakland County Parks Foundation and the North Oakland Land Conservancy. He may rest in peace, and thank you. I'm going to take some quick moment. Thank you. Also, I want to let the public know we have the picnic on the park from Sashua Plains Park. It's going to be on Saturday, September 9, from 12 to 2 p.m. We've done a lot of good renovations, improvement on Sashua Plains, and also this is a park to actually promote our park. I mean, I believe that some people still don't know where is our park located, and this is a way to bring more awareness about where the park is located between Sashua and Maybe Road, and I think it's gonna be a nice event for everyone. It's gonna be from, again, Saturday, September 9, from 12 to 2 p.m. at Sashua Plains Park. Is 5620 Maybe Road. That's all I got for today. Anyone else would like to share anything? Sure. Karen Newbeck.
I wanted to thank one of our employees, Tony Houle, for the work he did on replacing the cemetery sign at the cemetery off White Lake Road. It's been missing. I don't know if anybody's noticed. It's been missing for quite some time, but it has been cleaned up and replaced, and I think he did a tremendous job, so I wanted to thank him. And that's all I have.
Okay. Anyone from the public? Okay, moving on. Public comment. Anyone would like to address to the board? Anyone online? All right. We'll have a public hearing. We'll have presentations and report, and we'll have a postponed agenda, so consent agenda. Request of, excuse me. Yeah, we need to make the amendment now?
No, go
No?
ahead and
Okay.
list them, and then we will.
Okay. Request to approve the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes of August 22nd, 2023. 2, request to approve the August 28, 2023 check run, including the ACH of $653,922.83, and ratify the August 18, 2023 payroll of $368,231.41. 3, request to adopt resolution number 2023-018, 2024 Board of Trustees regular meeting schedule. And lastly, number 4, request to approve the Smart Municipal Credit and Community Credit Contract for PY 2024. Is any of these we're gonna remove?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to remove item number 4 from the consent agenda.
I need support?
Point of order. It's like, shouldn't they, amending the agenda be done at the point of approving the agenda? Why didn't we,
We can just
Amend the
remove
agenda.
that from consent,
yeah, well,
because
that's
we're
what,
approving the consent agenda item,
all right,
that's all.
very good. I'll support that then.
Thank you, Ron. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Now, we're gonna go to item removed from the consent agenda, which is request to approve a smart municipal credit and community credit contract for PY 2024. Sam?
Just for clarification, did we vote to approve the last three things on the consent agenda or to amend the consent agenda on that last
Oh, yeah,
vote?
we haven't voted on the consent agenda
Oh,
yet.
we didn't, yes, that's right. We need to vote to
I'll make a
approve.
motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, all right, so we
Okay.
approve the consent and we actually
Okay.
move one, so,
I just have some comments about the smart contract. Because the township changed its hours, in the contract, it states that the services, under service times is the category that I'm referencing to. It says Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 p.m., and does not run when the Independence Township offices are closed. So I just want to make sure that that is not going to be an issue with our change of hours, and that even that language needs to exist still in there, you know, or what constitutes our offices being open. So it's just a question.
So as far as I am aware, the senior center is still maintaining their normal work schedule of 8-hour days. So they are open on Fridays. So that's my knowledge of it. I was a little surprised at that, but I just found that out recently, that they are putting in 8-hour days and working 5 days a week.
So they might need to change this language to indicate that it doesn't run when the senior center is closed.
No, I
Because
guess.
this says
possibly.
township offices, which I think would.
Oh,
refer to
okay.
this
I
building.
see your point there. Yeah, that
That
might
was-
be a slight tweak.
That was
needs
what
to
I was
happen.
getting at.
Yeah, okay,
Because they
okay.
specifically are calling out the township offices, not just the township is open for business, but the actual township
No, that's probably a good
offices.
point. It's probably a good point. Probably should be changed.
So, that was all, I just caught that and didn't know if it needed to be tweaked.
right, probably does.
I think it does.
Yeah, so we can change that and then, and we can,
You can make a motion to reflect the change that
sure.
you're requesting, trustee Morocco?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, is there any more I'm ready to make
No.
a motion if there's
Yeah.
no more discussion
Please make
on
a
it.
motion.
I'll move to approve the municipal credit and community credit contract for fiscal year 2022 for participation in the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation SMART program, and direct the township supervisor to sign the emailed contract by electronic signatures and email back to SMART as the authorized representative of the township, with the one change of language referring to the township offices opposed to the township senior center being open during services.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Sam. Good catch. All right. Moving on to regular business. Request to approve the 2023 budget amendment. Remove the 2023 safety path project. There will be no complete in 2023. Rick, can you please come to the podium?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is just a little bit of housekeeping here, you can say, with the Safety Path Fund. As you all know, the Safety Path Fund was established to establish safety paths throughout the township and do maintenance on existing paths. And when we do projects and put them into the budget, you know, we fully expect to do these projects, but there's various circumstances that pop up that stop these things from happening. In this particular case here, I know we're removing about $858,000 worth of projects this year. 3 projects specifically. It's the Fleming's Lake Road to Firefox Sub, 250 grand. There's the Sashabaw Independence Oaks to Oak Hill, 300 grand, and then the Safe Routes to School. The reason that these projects aren't going to get done is because there's a lot of maintenance that has to be done. And it's not just concrete, it's the actual boardwalks are starting to fall apart and need a lot of repair, and those are very expensive. So we were holding off on these projects, pushing them out a couple more years so we can address these maintenance issues first. And that's primarily a decision that Safety Path Committee made. So that's why these projects are being removed, number one. Number two is if we left them in there, this budget is actually going to get presented next meeting. So I'm looking at cleaning up the fund balance too, because if this is left out there, we actually use the ending fund balance for this year as the beginning fund balance for 2024, which means it would be $858,000 under where it really is going to wind up. So we need to get these numbers out of there, clean up the fund balance, get it closer to what reality is going to be, so that when we do present this budget in 2 weeks, the numbers will make sense, and it just all falls in line, and it just presents a better picture when we're presenting those budgets. And that's all this really is.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions from board members? Okay. Ready to make a motion? Or?
I'll move to approve the 2023 budget amendment number 29 as presented.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank
Thank you
you
very
very
much.
much.
Good job, thank you. Okay, the next item is, as you know, Kevin Bassler resigned from the Planning Commission a little while ago. And then it's up to the supervisor to bring a recommendation today, and I bring my recommendation to Jason Bershine. Bershine is very involved in our community. I hear good things about him for many years, for many people that I know, and we have some friends in common as well. Jason is here. Jason, would you like to say a few words and introduce yourself to the board? Thank you.
So, good evening. It's nice to meet you all. I'm excited to serve the community. I was born and raised in Waterford, and I went to school in Texas. I came back and member of Mount Zion Church since 1990. So I've been familiar with the area my whole life. I was married about 21 years ago and have 2 boys. One of them just graduated from Clarkston High School. The other one's now going in as a junior. I live off of M15, and I've heard through a friend that there's an opening on the Planning Commission, and I expressed interest to Jose that I would like to pursue that. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions or anything for Jason? No? Okay.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Jason. Thanks. Appreciate that. Any question from the public? Okay.
I have
Sure,
a question
sure.
again about these names. We talked about this before.
Sure, Terry,
This
of
is
course.
nothing against Jason, but
Sure.
reviewing these applicants again, there's been people in the past who applied for this, and I'm wondering how come, like the couple in this past year that signed up to do this already get overlooked, and
Mhm.
his application was brand new. I'm just wondering, it's almost, when people apply for a job and you hang on to them for a reason,
Mhm.
were those people consulted again about this? And this happened last time with appointees, and I'm just curious about the process again. Only because a couple people that I reviewed already had planning commission experience and
Sure,
things like that. So if you could just,
sure.
kind of go through
Thanks,
how
Terry.
that came about.
Sure. And this process is, it has been not just start with my administration. For the people that's watching this process started several years ago with the supervisor bring a recommendation to the board. I recall recently, a few years ago, when Trustee Morocco tried to be reappointed, he applied all that, but it was accepted to the supervisor to bring the recommendation. At that point, I remember, and experience is important too, I understand where you're coming from. But when I remind to the board, when they brought someone that was a veterinarian, didn't have any experience for the job, we still appoint this person. It was a recommendation from Jerry Fisher. And we didn't question and have or nothing about the appointment. We want to give a chance to the supervisor and see. Back in 2012, I remember Supervisor Kill, I remember look the minutes, it was 6 new appointments. I don't know how that happened, but I see that. It was 6 new appointments, that he got new people. And at that time, I was kind of concerned, like, he says, 6 new people. I says, wow, and they didn't have any experience about planning commission, most of them. And removing 6 members, I saw it's kind of bold because we need some experience. In this case, we have 6 members currently serving for many years, and after Kevin Basro resigned, my concern was to have somebody reliable, somebody who will represent us well, and I believe that my recommendation is very good for us. So I know that for some of the members' experience is important, but also our bylaws call for a special training. He's gonna get the training that he needs, like every other member when they start with no knowledge. I do remember, even we had this discussion in 2012, Paul, then even when you became a treasurer, you says when you became a treasurer was new, it's a part of learning. And for all of us, even for me, sometimes, it's something new, come and learn and deal with that and build experience out of it. So, to answer your question, that's my recommendation. I bring it to the board, and I think Jason will do a great job, and he's gonna represent us well.
Didn't really talk about, I guess, whether we contacted the other people. I guess last time you told me Emily Ford didn't want to be on the board, but now her name is still listed again as one of the applicants, so it just seemed kind of weird that the last 2 people that were on the planning commission were, both of their resumes in the packet were dated the day before the packet went out. And now here's a 3rd one, same thing, but like was just previously mentioned, that other people have had their resumes in for months, and I guess there's been no talk of why they weren't considered for this. Our track record, it's like the last 2 people in a row quit early now, so.
Sure, bro. Well, the far as I know, every supervisor bring a recommendation, and every tonight a recommendation, and that's how the process is. Now, and I have to answer also what people want, and what I talked to people last year. People wants to see new names, want to see new blood in the board, and then after I hearing many people calling me the last couple of weeks and all that, talking about what's going on, I decided that since I promised people I'm gonna bring new names, new blood in the planning commission, I think Jason meet that criteria, in my understanding. He's a new blood, new thinking, and he's someone who is very respectful, good Christian person that will be good for the board. And that's what I lean into. It's different when you're a township supervisor, when you get those phone calls and say, hey, Jose, I don't like what happened across the street. They cut all the trees up there. You told us about change. What change? We don't see that change. And I listen, and I listen to people. I'm not representing tonight my opinion. Again, I'm representing the people. And people wants to change in the planning commission. And they know, I just finished that. So I understand that sometimes I'm gonna have some difficulties about the status quo, all that, but it's taken what I promised, and I still gonna recommend something different. Now, Jason is a good person. He's here tonight, and he wants to serve. My biggest concern was the commitment, because last time, unfortunately, a couple of people resigned. That was unfortunate. He wants to serve. He wants a chance, and I'm willing to give him the chance to serve. It's gonna be 1 member and 6 other members. Other 6 already have a lot of experience. So, okay, check.
And like I said, this has nothing
Sure.
against Jason whatsoever.
Thank you.
I'm looking at them all equal. I'm just
Okay.
wondering about this gentleman who applied back in March. There was 2 in March, 1 in April, and I'm just wondering, you know, that's all.
Sure.
Are they contacted? Do you interview these people? Do you talk to them? I'm just trying to make the process fair, not that someone you like at the last minute is just the person who gets to come up.
Sure.
So I'd like the public to know that too.
Sure.
Because everybody wants a fair process, so
Sure.
that's what I want explained tonight. Again, I have no problem with Jason,
Thank
and I
you.
like that he came here to speak. It is not about him at all.
Sure.
It just seems we had this issue last time there was someone appointed. I don't care what commission it is.
Sure.
I'm not ripping on planning commission in particular. I just want to know whenever we get these, and there's a bunch, there's just no discussion.
Sure.
And it just seems like the last one to plop their name in gets
Sure.
it. And I'd just like some explanation.
Sure, and I wish Jerry Fisher have the same questions when he applied the last appointment that he got. I mean, he had the same thing. He just have someone with no experience, and that was totally fine. And questions, it was no questions about it. All right, anyone else? Yeah, Treasurer Brown.
And so I looked at this the same, kind of the same way. And I feel bad that we've got Bill Scarborough, 20 years of experience in the planning commission. He's the alternate to the ZBA. He submitted his application to be a trustee. When the trustee seat was open, it just seemed to me he was in line here as the alternate to the ZBA, and we're just telling him sorry again. And again, 20 years of experience. And I do think experience on the planning commission is important. You raised the point here, Supervisor, that people are concerned about the trees being cut down on the property across the street, and so you're appointing somebody to the planning commission with that in mind. The planning commission doesn't decide whether trees are cut down. We don't have a tree ordinance. If you don't want trees cut down, bring a tree ordinance, and we can control what's done with trees. We don't have that. And to suggest we're gonna change what's happening on the planning commission by who sits on it, I don't think is accurate. I'm not an expert, but the planning commission has to follow our zoning, and they have to follow the master plan. And the property across the street has been zoned commercial for decades. And in fact, Trustee Morocco had significant influence in changing that to what would have been a much larger facility with Walmart or someone who was trying to come there many years ago. Back then, all that zoning got changed through the process of changing zoning to what's allowed now. And I think when people call in and say, why are you letting trees cut down? That has to be explained to them. There's a trade-off. People, this is private property and folks own the property. We can't say, tough luck, don't cut down the trees and don't build what's allowed in the zoning. What's allowed from the planning commission is to change the character of what has happened. And then certainly, I remember the meeting where Trustee Morocco was pretty impactful at us changing the outside layout, right, into how much space there is outside for some activities. And I think it's better than it would have been without those things happening. But to suggest putting somebody on the planning commission is just suddenly going to solve a problem that people don't like trees cutting down is not accurate. And I don't want someone being appointed who believes that can happen. I certainly recognized his enthusiasm to be part of the community and contribute, but I also read that he wants to keep the township's charm. Well, there's a lot to that, and the planning commission has certain authorities, but they got to follow the rules on how that's run, and our master plan and our zoning. So I don't have a problem with someone who doesn't have experience coming in. But to me, you've got people who've been trying to be part of that, and I also saw there's an architect in here. And if you're looking at the planning commission, typically you have people with some skill set, whether it's a builder, you have realtors who have been on the planning commission historically with a lot of knowledge about real estate and in some cases development. You've got planners who sit on the planning commission. And so to me, appointing the best person the most qualified person is important. Or if it's close, you make a decision. It's absolutely your authority to bring forward the person you want. But this board ultimately votes to decide if it's the right person. And my concern is we have these people who have been trying to contribute have qualifications that would appear to be in alignment with what you want, do we start losing people who want to contribute to these committees and boards if at the last minute there's an opening, and as you've indicated, he's a friend of yours and you're bringing him on and you're appointing him, you've known him 20 years. And so I don't want the perception that you have to be friends with the supervisor to get that. And again, I'm concerned, you'd indicated you met with him and you were happy with what he was doing, but that you didn't meet with anybody else. You didn't have conversations with any other people. And I don't think that's fair to them, even if you have your decision that you want to have someone else. They've asked for this, and to have no other conversations with any of them, it just doesn't feel right to me if we want to be inclusive from all the people that are trying to apply for these positions.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you. Back about experience, I remember in 2012, I was against Kevin Basro because he didn't have any experience, and you told me, experience, we always start sometimes with no experience, and we need to give it a chance. And the board decided to give a chance to Kevin Basro. Secondly, I mean, you're saying a friend. I mean, I believe some township board members here are friends with some of the people in the planning commission.
I'm not friends with any of them.
Okay, all right. I know friends currently with any of those, the current members. So, okay, trustee Moran.
I've got a little different perspectives, being on the planning commission 20 years. When I got on the planning commission, nobody knew anything about planning. We had all different walks of life, and nobody had a clue. I think I might have been one of the few people that had read blueprints my whole life. We had a township board at that time that spent a lot of money educating our planning commission on the newest ways of planning, the better ways of planning, creating open space, greenways plans. We took bus tours to cool Michigan cities. We went to the planning convention. The township board was vested in teaching planning commissioners how to be good planning commissioners. And the subdivisions of 20 years ago show that. They're way nicer than the ones that we have nowadays, you know. When you put professionals on the planning commission, it sounds like it makes sense, put people that know what they're doing. In my opinion, they can be as tainted as someone who knows nothing, because they're not taking classes, they're not getting educated, they're not learning the newest ways of planning. They all know everything already because they've been doing it their whole life, and that's how we got the planning commission we have right now. It's stacked with architects, builders, developers, you know, guys that do high-density subdivisions, planners that do high-density subdivisions, and those, when you say, let's build a 50-foot wide lot to one of the people in the planning commission now, it's like, yeah, sure, that's what we do every day, you know? But if you took that, just for instance, that development across the street, and you went to a class and learned how to develop a PUD development, which, when you become a PUD, means there is no underlying zoning, there is no master plan. It's all at the discretion of the planning commission, so it's not actually 100% true that we could do setbacks, we can do clear-cut limits, we can make them leave 200 feet around the perimeter, we can do whatever the hell we want, because it's a PUD. So, you know, what we have right now is a bunch of people on the planning commission who know everything there is to know about planning, and they're making all the decisions based on their own personal beliefs and preferences. But there's no one, I don't think, in a township that would say that we couldn't have done better across the street, that we could have left more along the highway, that we could have left more next to the residents, that we could have, you know, had a nicer park. I mean, when they came to us in 2020, that park was 16.7 acres. Our planning commission negotiated it down to 7. So now we only have 7 acres. That's less than half of what they even offered when they first started the process. So it doesn't mean that just because you know about planning that you're going to give us the best development. It's all about personal perception. If you had a planning commission full of historians that took classes, you'd have a township like Oakland Township, where they're the most restrictive township in the area, and you're not doing any kind of stuff like they did across the street. So there's a balance to be found, and we can do way better. And having people start the process again, filtering in experienced people with people who are mandated to get training. When I got on the planning commission and I became the chairman, we changed the the bylaws of the planning commission to mandate that you cannot be reappointed to the planning commission if you're not certified in citizen planning for Michigan State Extension. That was driven by the fact that people didn't know a lot about it. So we said, all right, well, if you're gonna commit, then you need to commit to educate yourself on the newest, best ways of doing planning. And that's a commitment you would have to make if you were appointed to it. Now, I don't know if anyone's following the bylaws or if because everyone has degrees. I was on the planning commission with most of the commissioners there, and I don't remember anybody taking any classes or going. And we used to go literally every month or two to the county and take classes on planning and development and zoning all the time, from the Brick Institute, from the Siding Institute, from all different facets to gather that information. That all died off when they put everybody on there that knew everything about planning. So I wouldn't say that experience in longevity benefits the community as much as education in planning, whether it's older, experienced people taking the training or new people taking the training. So I think that there's a different way of doing it, and that across the street is not the best example, that we could have done a lot better. So that's my opinion on the experience thing.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just to reiterate a point that Sam made, it is still a requirement of the planning commission that you have educated in the Michigan State Citizen Planner program and pass that course as well, so,
And that's at the township's expense?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
just had
Sure.
just a short comment, Jose.
Sure.
I do appreciate Jason coming out and his willingness to serve along with the other members that do currently serve. But I will reiterate what most of the others have said is, I do think that we need to circle back and look at those that have been, we hold the applications for a 2-year time span. And then after 2 years, my office purges them. So when we have an opening, I don't give you those that may have been here for a long time. And I do agree, we have some with quite a bit of experience that are still willing to serve. We have terms that are ending, I know this year, probably again next year. It's part of the cycle with the term endings, and either people may not want to be reappointed and continue to serve in all of the boards and committees. So I do think it's important that we do reach out and not only to see if they're still willing to serve. Somebody last year who may have applied, and I think as Ron had said, there's been some comments made that there's some people that are on this list that may have told people, I don't want to be on the list any longer, but until that comes to my office, I keep regurgitating the same applications when we have an opening. So to keep things fresh and current, if you do hear that, if anyone hears that, if they can send you an email or send our office an email so that we're giving the most up-to-date information when openings do occur. So that's all I have.
Like, that's what Trustee Nalamuth was trying to reiterate too, is that each time we do this, we should be going through this, the list of people, and there should be some, recap of where they stand and everything as part of the whole explanation of what we're doing. And
I
everything,
agree,
so.
because when we do contact them, then they may say, at that point in time when I applied, I wasn't busy in my life and I could fit it in, but now I'm not. I'm, now I can't fit that in, please remove me or whatever, and it helps to keep our files current, but I do agree.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah.
Just a real quick comment,
Sure,
kind of
sure.
echoing what they were saying. If we are seriously considering everyone to find the best possible candidate, why wouldn't we thoroughly go through all of them?
That's not how it works.
Okay, all right.
We don't
So,
interview them.
it's gonna be
We're
simple
gonna
majority,
talk about
right?
them. It's the supervisor's pleasure.
Can I request
Okay.
a roll
We
call?
got the planning commission, we got stuck with now.
We can do a roll
Yeah,
call,
we can do a
certainly.
roll call, yes. We can do a roll call.
We need a motion first.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jason Borsheim as a regular member of the planning commission to complete the unexpired term of Kevin Bushrow ending December 31st, 2025.
I'll support.
Okay, motion has made and support. Okay. It's gonna be a roll call, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yeah, yes.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
Trustee Stolian?
Yes.
And Supervisor Aliaga?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations. Okay. Thank you. Next, we have a request to appoint Board of Committee members DDA, Downtown Development Authority. And, well, my recommendations is, we have two people, actually, Jennifer, who was in the Clarkson Chamber of Commerce, she, I believe she resigned, she left, something
Yeah.
happened. So the new member there is, the new director of the Chamber is Kendall. So the criteria that we have in the DDA is always to get somebody from the Clarkson Chamber of Commerce on the represent the chamber, and on the DDA. And also we have Gus Setona, who is a business owner from, he have a liquor store on Dixie Highway. And he pointed out he made a couple mistakes in his application. And would you like to come to the podium and introduce yourself? And this is Gus Setona. He's a business owner, local business owner.
Hi everyone, Gus
Good
Zaytuna,
evening.
owner of Zaytuna's Liquor on Dixie Highway. Been at this location for more than 12 years, and I want to join the DDA of the Downtown on Dixie Highway because I have a business there. And there was a few mistakes I made when I filled up the application, one of them for the voting. So I misunderstood, I thought like voting in general, which is I can vote, and not in Clarkston, but where I live. And I put the address for my business, and that's another confusing in there, but I'm not resident of Independence Township. Any questions or?
But you're a local business owner on the DDA district.
Exactly.
Yes,
I
which
am.
is allowed. All right. Yes. Treasurer Brown.
I appreciate you clearing that up. That was a question that I had, just that it appeared you were a non-resident,
Yes.
which I don't have a problem with. You were a business owner there, but I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So if we could get an updated application with those changes submitted, just so we can have it on file,
Sure,
that would be great.
no problem. I'll definitely upgrade that.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because on the DDA, and I know because I pounded on a lot of doors to try to get these people in time. So I don't, this is a little bit different when you put the names down because there's at-will, people, there's people that own businesses, there's people that we're trying to represent each district on M15, on White Lake Road, on Dixie. So I'm not sure, it wasn't clear how they qualified being on the DDA, if they were a business owner, so the hardest thing on the DDA was to get people who lived in the actual district in one of the condo complexes, the apartment buildings. And then we had just one or two people that were just at will out of the township, and then the rest had to have an interest, whether renting or owning property on Dixie. So this is just I can't look at these names and know, do they meet, which criteria do they fall into? Right now, we're appointing two people that do not live in the district, that are not at will, that have an interest on property. So just to make that clear, that's the specific person we're looking for tonight, because there is a bunch of different kinds of them. These two were, Kendall, of course, representing the M15 corridor, and the chamber was a double bonus. And then Maddie, who had the real estate agency that left, so.
So
Yeah.
maybe-
One thing.
So that's, I just wasn't sure how they're vetted with the names, because there's all these different criteria.
we should change the application that has a section for whether it's a CIA or the DDA that indicates how you qualify. Qualify as a business owner, qualify as living in the district, or qualify as an at-large.
Yes.
Right, so then in the
Right.
future, when they're making that application, because right now we don't list it, I don't think, in the application. So we need to add it with those caveats. It'll make it clear, so it's a good point.
All right, so I know the two people that we're talking about tonight both have interest and don't live here, and that's the same as what we
Right.
were losing. I just,
Easy
but
fix.
going forward, we'd
Right.
hate to try to appoint someone and then find out they don't meet the actual criteria of the vacant seat. You know,
Sure.
because the numbers have to stay consistent with
Sure.
all the different
I have
kinds of
to-
presidency.
I have to bring to the attention to the board that it was brought by Claire Newbeck today that it seems like it's one member that didn't actually,
I don't think ever became
Right.
sworn in.
yeah,
So I think you still may have another vacancy
yeah, we
that
do.
needs to be
For,
filled.
for which area? For a resident or what?
And business owner, I think.
I think that's a
Business-
good
yeah,
call to just
Yeah,
change that one.
so it's gonna be one opening.
I think part of the May for, like the DDA or the CA, and that's, to me, we need to have, like, some background, like who was in what buckets, so we know.
Mhm.
Like, say, without doing a bunch of research, it's hard to know, like Sam said, like, who's leaving and who's coming, what buckets do they fit in, and
Mhm.
how do we know if we're keeping everything
Yes,
at the right numbers?
absolutely.
Well, and some stuff's white
We can
blacked out,
improve.
so you can't
Yeah.
see where they live to know what,
Yeah.
if they're,
Yeah, but-
where they fall.
you can get-
I mean, I can get on the other side, but other people, but.
Good point, though.
Yeah,
We can, even the motion can say, besides just filling the unexpired term or a new term of the, you know, resident or the business owner, or,
Right.
you know, what, if we have that in the actual motion, that
Call
would
out the
help.
position that they're on.
Is there anyone on that list now, trustee Morocco, that's on the MAF that could fill in the bucket for the one that never was?
See, I don't know who, that was a business owner
Oh, okay.
representing the north end, and I don't know who, I don't know
Okay.
I don't know these people, so I couldn't tell you
Okay.
what they own, if they own a business or not.
yeah.
Okay.
we'll have to look
In the
at it.
corridor.
All
Yeah.
right, so we can bring it back
Yeah.
another
I,
time.
I,
All right,
Where at in the corridor?
okay. Can I
okay.
have a motion?
I'll move to appoint, are we doing both at once? One at a time?
Just one at a time.
I'll move to appoint Kendall Petzold to the DDA Board to finish Jennifer Margraff's one-year term expiring December 31st, 2023.
I'll support.
Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Motion B.
I'll move to appoint Gus Zatuna to the DDA Board to finish Madeline Dijon's three-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay. Good. Communications and future agenda items, residential open space advisory committee, June 14, 2023. Residential open space advisory committee, July 12, 2023. Board member comments. Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
All right.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you.